It's time to give you an update on my 3D game engine I've been programming for the Game Boy Advance. And I want to answer some of your questions, I want to show you what it can do so far, I want to give you a link to download, I will tell you my thoughts on where I want to take it from here, and most importantly, I want your feedback, since this is for you. In this video, I'll show you the simple steps to go from this and turn it into this in just a few short minutes. I feel like I've created something special and simple for you to create your own levels. And sorry for the delay, but this is not easy. This is incredibly difficult to program on the very old and slow Game Boy Advance, but that's what I enjoy most about this personal project. And here are just some of the actual programming problems I ran into and had to solve. This has been a very difficult journey. It's been painful, it's been weird, it's been crazy, and I almost gave up several times, but I'm excited to share with you the good news that it is stable, it's working, and I just want you to see it. And I'm not just creating a 3D game from scratch, having to program highly optimized code pixel by pixel on an old console not meant for 3D. I'm also creating a simple UI with the functions to edit and create your own level in real time. I want to thank you for your support, and I have something for you, so stay tuned for the full video and then download this level to see how well it runs on the Game Boy Advance or on emulation. The UI will be turned off for this download since it's a work in progress, there's some things I want to fix and more features I want to add. And also, I don't normally look at analytics, but I did notice this and I was hoping for your help together, maybe we can lower this number. But either way, I love this project, I'm excited for it, and I can't wait to see what you create with this program. Which brings me to my first big announcement. I realized how overwhelming it is to create a full custom-made game. Multiple enemies, sprites, rules for each of those items, the level goals, and so on. It's a lot. And I don't want this to be a project that you start and don't finish. So I've decided that this program is going to be a simple way to create a level completely the way you want, and then link to other players online through an emulator to battle in multiplayer. And I can create different objectives, maybe capture the flag, hide and seek, a race to the finish line avoiding obstacles. Personally, I'm more excited about multiplayer combat, but let me know what you think in the comments. The next question I get a lot is this only for the Game Boy Advance? So the game will be a GBA ROM file, which can be loaded onto a flashcart and played directly on the original Game Boy Advance hardware. But the GBA is a well-established console and it has many emulators that run on different machines. For instance, you can play this on your phone with the GBA mobile emulator, or on your PC, so there's other options. And I'm keeping my code super clean and easy to port. I was able to successfully port my code to C and OpenGL to run on a computer, so yes, I will eventually transfer the code. So let me know what you prefer to play this on. I'll make a real tutorial soon, but this is just to give you a heads up on the fundamentals. If you ever try to make a game on a modern game engine, you probably got overwhelmed and you just quit. If so, then maybe I've got the program for you. Making a level should be fun and easy and quick to edit, so I designed a simple row of just a few buttons that should be easy to understand, but first things first, I just want to click on Sec, which is short for sector. And a sector is just a group of enclosed walls that all share the same floor and ceiling height. So I'm going to go into 3D view and see what that looks like. We are now inside of our sector. You can look up and down with the shoulder buttons. You can hit A to jump, and there's that little secondary bounce. All the walls have the same texture applied, and the shading is automatic, but we can update both of those. So let's go ahead and hit the select button to bring up some more options. So you can see in the top right corner, if that dot is over this wall, it's at 0. Here's that shading value 4. So you can hit the A button to change up to 8 different shading values, and then it resets. So this is if you want to have maybe a darker sector or change the way the lighting is. And then if you want to go back to the automatic, you hit the B button to have the secondary action, and you can now shade all automatically. And so let's change the texture too. So I created 100 different textures. I figured out what kind of looked best and created more of that kind of look and style. I left 5 blanks, so I want to figure out a way to have you create your own textures to use in this game. And these are 5 special sky textures. I'll show you how they work later. So I'm going to go ahead and maybe add just a wood texture. And it'll save that previous value, so you can hit A quickly twice. That's just a quick way to throw the same texture on to the walls very quickly. Same for the floor and ceiling, but let's say you look down and can't actually reach the floor. If you look down and hit both shoulder buttons at the same time, you'll travel down to the floor, and vice versa. If you're looking up and hit both buttons, you'll travel up. So easy way to select them. So let's go ahead and give them a different texture, maybe like a dirt texture and another wood texture for the ceiling. And there you go, that's a quick and easy way to change how the sector looks. But this is just one sector. Let's go ahead and add another. So these buttons are the default, so we'll leave it at the same floor and ceiling height, but let's change the texture. Maybe that'd be like a stone texture. And what happens if you draw it over here is it won't even really exist. You can't even see it inside because we're trapped inside this first sector. So it's going to look exactly the same. So what you can do, you can hit the B button to select and move different points, but you can also move an entire sector. So what happens if I move these two sectors close together? It creates a purple wall or a portal. It's sort of like a window into the other sector. And of course you can pass right through it, but this is a quick way to change and add some variety to your level. And of course every sector has their own floor and ceiling height, so we can adjust that. I can hit A to raise the floor up, or even lower it if I wanted to, but let's raise it up, and you can even lower the ceiling. It then added these edges, so you can maybe change that texture and shading if you want. Change maybe the floor. So I'll show you how the character stepping works. If it's a half step, the character will just step up and walk over it. This will be how you can create stairs. I'll show you that coming up soon. But if it's too tall, you won't be able to step over it. He'll collide with it, but you can jump into that sector. And then you can actually jump out of the sector too. So I'll just go ahead and lower that. And we can add to the sector too. If we have this selected and you click on the walls, it will actually add a point. So these are actually extra walls that you can quickly edit and change the geometry of your level. Now it's going to have the same floor and ceiling height because it's connected to the same sector. So I'm going to maybe lower this down a little bit, maybe raise the ceiling, maybe change the texture. So then when I draw it, it's going to also automatically connect and create a portal. Let me just create the rest of the level here. Add some details. And of course we can move the grid, so if you select this button, the D-pad will move the map around, so you can add more level. You can add more to your level below or above, so you can make the map pretty large. Alright, so let's go ahead and let's see what this looks like. So we drop down into this more kind of sci-fi metallic place. Oh, I'll show you how to add some fake lighting. So let's go back into the 2D mode. And also you can move the player. So if you hit B, you can move the player around, and A will change his direction. So we can have him start off over here. So we know how portals work. So what you can do is a nice little trick where if we move this wall and delete it basically, and add another sector in its place. So remember, sectors have their own floor and ceiling height and shading value and everything. So let's see how this looks. So it's going to match and look exactly the same, but let's go ahead and change some values. So we can shade this sector a little darker, including the floor and ceiling. So this is a quick way to add sort of a fake lighting and shadows. It looks as if there's a light source over here. So that's a quick way to add some detail, and of course you can just walk through it. It just kind of is, it's a portal. And if you add walls inside of a sector, they become columns. So I'll add one here. And it doesn't have to be a perfect square, it could be something like that. And the colors are going to change to let you know that these walls belong inside that sector. So let's see what that looks like. So you now have these walls. Easy way to make some columns or maybe hallways inside of a sector. Let's update maybe the floors, maybe the ceiling. And we can do something else if we lower the walls of these sectors. Let's raise that. And maybe add like a light source here, make that brighter. Maybe add some caution stripes. And you can offset the texture. You can raise it up or down or left or right. Here, let's change this texture here too. So you can see how easy it is to actually update your level. Let's give this more room. So you can really use these tools to customize it, make it the way you want. So yeah, it's just a cool way to add some detail. Let's jump inside. Of course, I made it so you can save your level. So A will add the sectors, but if you have B selected, you can actually delete the sectors. You can click on a few of these to delete it if you want. Remember, we saved it, so you want to pick back up where you started, hit the B button to load, and it'll load that same level back in. And this is on a Game Boy Advance, by the way. I just want to point that out again. So, let's add some stairs. So we know how the portals work, so we'll add these walls to that sector, and then we'll add just a small half step here. It'll create a portal. Let's do another, maybe another. And then finally, the room that it leads into. Let me just bring our player's starting position a little closer. And it's all connected, so we'll see what that looks like. So let's start raising these portals to make it look like stairs. There you go. You can now climb these portals into this sector. Oh, I've got to show you the skies. So let me show you how this works. So what I'm going to do is create a sector over here. I'm going to add one in the middle. I'll show you why in a second. That size, and then another one over here. Let's find our player. We'll see what that looks like. Okay, so we have 3 sectors here. So the ceiling has its own texture, but what you can do is select this sector and change it to one of the skies. So what it's going to do is draw that texture vertically. So it's going to create the illusion we're in outside. So we'll do the same over there. And this will look kind of weird, but what you can do is lower this sector's ceiling, and it'll create this illusion that we have this geometry here. So I'll just scroll through and kind of show you what each one of them looks like. We have a city. We have, let's see, sort of this environment. But I have an idea, so let's go ahead and change to maybe the city here. Make sure they're both on city. Yeah, that will make sense. And another thing what you can do, since this is its own portal, we can then shade this a little darker. So 1, 2, maybe 3 shades darker. So this is another way to add sort of a lighting. It looks as if it's a bright day. Let me shade that one real quick. Let me just raise this up a half step. So there, it kind of gives the illusion that we're outside. So it's functional, it works right now. I'm just going to keep adding to it. This is just something I'm really proud of, and I can't wait to see what you guys create. You can do a lot with this, and it'll be so fun to play multiplayer in here. So I think one of the best things about this is just how quickly you can create and edit and change and update and then save and load, and then to play multiplayer in this would just be really fun. And you can create your own levels and play with your friends and see what they create. And this is on a Game Boy Advance, which is just so crazy to me. In the next video, you'll be able to have the UI, so you can change and edit and update. So I'm just really excited about this. So I can't wait to see what you create. And I'd love to find a licensed publisher to make this on an actual physical GBA cartridge with box art too. That would just be a true dream of mine. And now I want to hear from you. So I will be reading the comments and getting your ideas and your feedback. So I hope you enjoyed this. Let's hang out again sometime, and see you next time.